And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 1,000 Mile Coffee. I'm David.
I'm Jason.
And today we have a special guest. Here we go again. If you would not mind introducing yourself.
I'm Claire Glass, your mother.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Mama Glass.
So anything that has happened in previous episodes, don't tell her.
But I'm pretty sure she already knows. She's been around you your whole life.
I didn't do it.
Well, the police haven't come knocking on the door, so.
You know, with the stuff that me and Alan have done in the past, that's kind of shocking. But either way, the reason we brought her on here today is she is obviously the mother of two drivers, and her husband, Neil, was a driver for many years. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to bring her on here to give
essentially the outside looking in look of how it is being married to a driver. From
a wife's point of view or a husband's point of view, just your significant other's point of view. Kind of what to expect while they're out on the road, everything you're going to have to do.
Well, the very first real thing is there's going to be a lot of trust between the two parties, because the one at home is going to have to trust the other one to behave himself. All right. As best as possible. Okay. And the one on the road's got to realize that the one at home's going to have to be paying the bills, keeping the house up or apartment up, raising the kids as their kids, being able to do things, call the professional plumber in if they need it and such, and have the money there to pay for it.
Right. Because, I mean, essentially you, as bad as it was to say, you was a single mom.
In a way, it comes down to being a single mother, in my case.
Yeah, because Neil, he ran on average, 2 weeks at a time, didn't he?
4 weeks sometimes.
4 weeks sometimes?
Yeah.
Now, David, how was it as the child there being... I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say.
How was it being the child pretty much as the father's not home all the time?
Yeah, I guess that'd be the way to say it. Dealing with when Mama got on to you, was you more worried about what she did versus your father kind of thing?
Oh, definitely. Okay. I was more scared of my mother than I was my father.
That's good.
I guess it goes back into... I hate to put it this way, but I guess I respected my mother more than my father as a kid. Now that I'm adult, I realize what he was doing, because now that I drive, I see how hard it was for him to stay on the road 3-4 weeks at a time away from the family and everything else. But looking back on it now, I mean, at the times, because this was late 90s, early 2000s when he was driving, and the industry itself was a very hard industry. It's not like it was now for us. Whereas we have all the technology and stuff to help us get through that communication.
That actually, I got a question for you now. How was it? Because back when Neil did drive, cell phones wasn't really around. So how hard was it, or how much was you actually able to talk to him when he was on the road?
I ended up going through AT&T, which was our home phone, and getting an 800 number so he could call me whenever he wanted to. And call the house phone. He knew what my work schedule was, so he'd call in the evenings when I was most likely going to be home. And that way we kept in touch. A couple of times a week he'd call. If he really wanted to check in on us, he'd call on us. So cell phones do make it easier to call and talk to everybody.
I was about to say, I mean, how much easier would it have been if they would have had the technology of cell phones now versus...
We would have talked a lot more.
Now, when there was a problem at home, be it something broke at the house, or how did you feel having all that land on your shoulders? Is I guess what I'm trying to say. How did you? Well, let me rephrase that completely. How did you manage that feeling of being there by yourself and him not being involved?
I was brought up to be fairly independent. My father had us under the cars, helping out with small electrical work around the house. So I had basic knowledge of things to begin with. If it was very bad, I'll call plumber. I'll call an electrician in. If I thought we couldn't handle it, I called a pro in. Now, I did have a lot of family support because my parents living in the same town. And before Dad got sick, I was able to call him and say, what do I do for this? You know, this is beyond what I know. Can you talk me through it over the phone to fix something? And he did a few times. But I think the greatest thing was being able to work with him when I was little to learn how to do some of this stuff. Like I've plumbed under the kitchen sink twice since we moved in that house 25 years ago. I've had to replumb that sink twice. And yeah, I called a pro in for the bathroom because I knew I couldn't do that one.
Well, I know Jessica's, she's called me a couple times, and this is what's going on. How do I, and I would try to walk her through it. And if I couldn't, I'll call my dad or I'll call her dad. Yeah. Or I'll tell her, hey, call your dad and see when he can get by, because he is a handyman. So I guess family would be a very important thing to have to help wise,
Yeah.
You got anything you want to ask her?
Off the top of my head, when Dad first decided, I'm sorry, people, I'm going to say Dad because he was my father, but
Well, we kind of already established that.
I know, but I'm
this
going
is your
to.
mother. That would make him your father.
In today's modern times, Jason, are you sure?
You know what? We could go there, but let's just not. let's just let that one lay.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, please. After 36 years of marriage,
we'll let that lay.
Yeah. But I think it would be the biggest question that comes to my mind is, what was your initial reaction when Dad said he wanted to get into truck driving?
we talked it over, thought about it. He was going to be happier driving truck, and it was, so I said, take off. Go.
Now, when he made that decision, was any of your 3 children born yet?
Your 2 siblings were here.
That's something me and Jessica
Yeah.
did when I decided. We discussed for probably a month before we made that decision. So if you are, because she was just telling me, do whatever you want to do if you think that's what's best. I said, you don't understand, babe. This is going to be a life change for both of us. And I think she realizes more now than when we talked about it. But what? Oh, sorry. I'm picking up shop noise. I'm sorry. So when you had, bring this on to, we talked about another episode, the home time. When Neil was at home, how was you and him able to manage relaxation versus getting everything you needed to get done because of how long he stayed out?
Well, the big thing with him being home was he catch up on his sleep, let him sleep. So I try to get the lawn mowed and weed whacked before he got home, so he wouldn't have to worry about trying to get that done. And as the kids got older and they could help, that got very much easier then, especially when they got home from school. Go mow the backyard, go mow the front yard. I'll weed whack, and such. That your dad's scheduled to come home this weekend. That way,
get it done and over with.
And
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, I can remember Alan, school letting out, hey man, let's go. You want to go here? You want to go to the mall? Want to go? No, man, I got to go home and cut the grass. Okay, we can do that any other time. Let's go to the mall. And I understand more now than I did back then, because I didn't get it. But he's taking a picture. Hey.
If we could run out, I usually had the stuff together for that we could throw a picnic together. Just grab the kids and go. He got up Saturday, we go through a picnic. Local park, go picnic, get the kids out.
Just some family time.
Yeah, and quick things like that. Now we had one episode where he was not coming in. Fine, I promised the kids we'd take him up to Appomattox. Yeah, you were real little at that time.
He does good to remember last week, so I know he ain't going to remember real little.
He called. We were getting ready to walk out the door with my sister, because she was helping with the 3 kids. And he called, said he was coming in, and said, we're leaving. We're going to Appomattox. I called the kids, said, we're going up to Appomattox. We've already planned this. Well, I can be in 2 hours. I said, it's going to be too late to get there and do anything up there, so we're going to go on. It took him 4 hours to get home. Because my mother told me what time he got home. So I said, we had a good time at Appomattox, but we had it planned. He was going to come home unexpectedly. He said, I'd already promised the kids, we're going. It's something that,
it happens.
It happens.
I can't count the number of times Jessica called me, when you going to be home? Well, I'll be home at 1 o'clock. And it's 4 or 5 because hit traffic, I mean, anything can happen.
I believe my mother's favorite saying that she has told to me many a time is, when will I be home? When he walks in the door.
And that came from my mother. Because we would ask her when my father was coming home. When he walks in the door, he's home. That's all we can do. We can try and plan. If it's something I could have, if it was, like a real quick picnic or something to no local area, we could have waited for him that day. But since we were going up to Appomattox from here, which was a several-hour drive, I said, nope, we're going, and we'll see you. When you get back, we'll see you. Get your truck cleaned out or whatever, and get the laundry ready, and I'll wash it when I get home.
Yeah, that'll also give him a little time to kind of relax and decompress by himself.
By himself, it did.
Even though we're by ourselves all the time in the truck, but
sometimes
but
it's
you're not
nice
moving
to,
when you're at home.
Right, exactly.
It's nice to be
It's-
home, sit down, do nothing.
Yeah,
just
it's
be
a
out of the
difference.
truck.
It is a complete difference. I mean, I can't count the number of times I've heard a bunch of our friends say, I've been in this truck 3 weeks. I just need to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And I never understood that until I really started driving. Yeah. And then I got it.
Yeah. Because most of your career, you were running 1 week at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were home every weekend. It wasn't until you think you came either here or your previous company.
I was with my previous company. I told them because when I first started driving, there was never a need for me. I was regional. There was never a need for me to run more than a week. Yeah. And when I went from the big mega fleet to a smaller company, I just told them, I said, I'm be home every weekend. That's the way they scheduled it. But if I had to stay out, I would, if they needed me to. And they needed me to, I think once they needed me. The other times I requested just to make a little extra money. And the same here. He knows that I want to be home every weekend, but if he needs me to, I will run.
Yes.
I will stay out, and he knows that. But I don't know where I was going with that.
We were talking about being home and
coming home and decompressing.
Yeah, decompressing at home is different than being your 10-hour that you got.
Than decompressing in the truck.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
it is a big difference there.
But moving on from being the wife of a trucker, what is it like now being the mother of 2 sons who drive?
Interesting. Well, cell phones keep us better informed with each other. The only real scary time has been when your brother was at a cell tower. We had no cell service at all, and we couldn't find him.
I remember that phone call.
His wife called, wanting to see if I could get hold of him. We called the company. The company ended up saying he hadn't moved in so long. Or according to the thingamajig in the truck, whatever it is,
E-log.
they ended up sending the state patrol out to find him. He was out of no cell range at all.
I do remember that. That was when they found he was about 5 miles away from that location at his receiver for the next morning, and there was no cell service at all. They could not pin him at all.
Now, that was a little scary, but we'd heard experiences before, and we said, yeah, the company sent the state patrol out for him to find him, just to make sure he was okay. And as soon as he got to cell range, he called. And the company did call his wife to let her know that, yeah, he's okay. We found him. He's just out of cell. There's no cell pickup there. And she called me, which was nice to know that. And then he called as soon as he got cell range. He called.
And we actually had a question a couple weeks ago about what do you do if you can't get somebody on the phone, and right there is the perfect answer of what happened. I mean, we answered it obviously, but right there's a real life experience of it.
Yep, we went to the company.
Yeah.
And they checked their out, because if his E-log had to have him moving, or if they couldn't be able to find him at E-log, they would have called us and said, yeah.
Well, a lot of those E-logs operate off of cell towers too.
Yeah.
So if he has no cell phone service, there's a chance that his E-log's not going to have service to send or receive messages on the E-log. So, and some of them operate off satellite signal, then you ain't got a problem.
Yeah.
But either way,
But they weren't
Most
getting
of them-
anything. And that's what was scared us all.
now I've just kind of, this is a kind of curiosity question for me.
Oh shit.
Has has the stories of driving changed from when Neil drove versus when David and Alan now drive? Or are the stories kind of the same?
The stories are close to the same. There's more people driving on the road, and there are more inexperienced truck drivers on the road. But the cars that don't move over when you guys trying to come onto the highway, or try to pass you with 2 inches to spare, is ridiculous. I've heard them since I was knee high to a grasshopper, because you can't stop those trucks on a dime. Even I know that. You know, from way back when, Newton's law of motion coming through. Let them have their space. They need it.
Yeah, we really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really do. But now, why did you say, oh shit, when I started bringing that up? I'm
Because
kind of
you've
curious.
known me for how many years? I was expecting some question to try to dig up the past of stories that we have talked about that I have looked at, and I said, I hope my mother never finds out about this.
Man, I'm not that. I mean, I
He has
look,
a mother too, so
I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
but he
not
doesn't
that,
care.
I'm not that cruel. You know, I'm an asshole, and I know I am, but I'm not that big a one. Don't give me that look. But, yes, we've known each other for several years. I think. How long have? Let's see, Alan.
when did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2003. I started talking to Alan freshman year.
So that would be 99.
99.
Yeah, so good Lord, over 20 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
And I'm going to quote you on this one. I was the annoying little brother.
Yes, you was. You 100%. Every time you come around, I was just like, man, because that's the way I saw you. But I mean, you was in what, second grade when I met you? Something like that.
Something
Second,
like
third
it, yeah.
grade. I mean, it's and now, you know, I talk to you just as much, if not more, than your brother. Now that he lives in a different state. But
Well,
all right,
he
we're getting
decided to run off
squirrel.
time.
We're getting off
Squirrel,
topic.
yep,
Let's
yep.
recalculate here.
Okay.
So the stories really aren't any different.
Not
than-
really. The crashes are more fiery, more horrendous, I think is the proper word, for the amount of cars that are on the road now than they
Right.
were when Neil was driving. And there are more idiots out there driving with you guys too, and I see them. I see them pass me with an inch to spare. I say, well, they're an accident waiting to happen.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you were also a professional driver for years. I mean, you didn't drive semis. You were a postal worker.
Yes.
So you also kind of had to deal with the same thing as us. You dealt with the morons on the road.
Yeah, and I've seen some of them guys pass the mail trucks, and I'm just, why? I mean, you're, you know, within centimeters of their mirror. Give them more room, but
Yeah.
it's either way.
Or pass us, pull out to pass us, and there's somebody coming the other way, and expect the other car to move half off the road so that the guy passing us can pass us, because we're sitting in a mailbox, sitting there and waiting for you to get around so we can safely get out.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that's going to be about cover everything that we needed.
Is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know as
Right.
being
I mean,
the
just
mother
something
and
we
the-
missed?
and the former wife of a driver?
well, I can remember the one time that I was supposed to get myself and my husband both were supposed to sign a permission slip for you kids to go someplace, and they gave it to me, and he had just left. And I didn't expect him back for at least 3 weeks. I said, you can't sign it. He's gone. You kids didn't go on the field trip. And it's happened before. I've heard, your sister, her daughter, guy wasn't around to sign the permission slip. They wanted 2 parents to sign it. You're not going to get 2 parents to sign it. Not when you give it to me with only a week to sign it in. You give it to me a month ago, I might have been able to get his signature on it.
I guess that's what it comes into. I believe I'm going to, this might be put kind of quotation marks here, but I believe it's when you get good at forging signatures.
No, I had a power of attorney made up.
That works too.
When I forced your father to go get wills, I had a power of attorney made up, so I had to have a copy of it in my purse. Usually, I said, "Here you go. I'm signing it for him. I have the power of attorney to sign that."
Yeah,
Because
'cause
I
that's-
did make him go get his wills. His will, we both got our wills. I made him go. I made the appointment, went, which is another thing. Truck drivers need doctor's appointments on Mondays. That way, the company can get them home on the weekend so they can make the doctor's appointment. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
Doctor's
'cause
appointments
I've-
on Monday, and getting back onto the wills thing, that's just one thing that she drilled into my head as soon as I started making decent money was getting a will done.
Yeah, I need to redo mine. But yeah, I actually scheduled a doctor's appointment. It's been years ago. It was on a Friday. I'm supposed to be home. I let them know like 3 weeks in advance. They were to get me home Thursday night. There was a fatality accident that shut the interstates down. I didn't make it home in time for the appointment, and that's not on the company. That's just
It just
yeah,
happens.
it happens. So I do agree. I always try to make them on a Monday if you can.
Yeah,
I agree with
dentists, doctors, Mondays. Now my personal physician does not see patients on Monday, but people in his office do. I said, it's got to be on Monday, so put him with somebody else. Doctors, got to be on a Monday. The financial, which someone may be looking at, a couple may be looking at, we ended up with 2 accounts, one for the household, one for him if he needed money on the road, he could get the money out of that one.
Because I remember a story you telling me as a kid that I remember because, oh, good mercy, you were mad, and I'm sitting here trying to run outside going, nope, 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 nope.
Yeah.
My father had made the mistake. I think this is right when you decided, after this, you said, get 2 accounts. Is the simple fact that my father needed the money to fix something on the truck, so he just pulled the money out of the account without calling Mama. The house payment hadn't come out of the account yet that week.
Yeah. Luckily, I had enough money in savings to cover the house payment, but it still would have been nice to ask for him to have called me ahead of time to say, can I get that money? Can what's going on? There's money in the account. I need this much. Is it possible? Yeah, but I had to scramble because that was a Sunday. I had to scramble Monday morning to get the money over to the other account to move it over.
I think this falls into the same logic we've had with a lot of our conversations, which is communication is key.
On everything.
Yeah.
Everything, communication.
But the 2 accounts worked because his check was deposited into the house account, and I just moved money over to the other account for him. I said, that's your money to run with.
And you took what needed for the bills and
Yeah.
feeding and clothing the kids.
Yes.
You know what? We never thought. Me and Jessica's never thought of doing anything like that.
Yeah. Well,
For
you're also
doing the
communicating.
two.
Well, cell phones make it easier to call.
Right. Versus this was back when cell
Yeah.
phones didn't exist
Yeah.
at all, and the ones that were around, the average person couldn't afford them, in my opinion.
Yeah, they couldn't. Because my first one was the old bag phone.
I can remember Neil having that old Nextel that was a company phone. I can't count the number of times I've seen him throw that phone because
Yeah.
it didn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way,
But also with the new cell technology, texting is easier to help get hold of somebody too. Sometimes the phone call won't go through. I can text somebody, it will go through
right.
rather the phone.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot easier.
Since we're gearing this thing towards newer drivers or somebody who's getting in the industry, do you have any kind of tips or that would help a driver's significant other that's never been around this before, that's getting ready to come into it, help them on figuring out how to deal with everything, essentially, with being the single parent, the sole provider of taking care of the entire house, taking care of the kids? What kind of tips could you give them so they're not stressed out all the time, and how to deal with it?
Well, the biggest thing I had my family, good support, somebody to call if I had trouble, just to let me vent, if nothing else. And yeah, the bubble bath was there occasionally. You kids are old enough to take care of yourself for 10 minutes. I'm going to take a bath and leave me alone for 10 minutes. And that helped. Or just Take the kids up to the local parks. Stay within eyesight, but we're going to walk around Hanging Rock, but stay within eyesight. So that if you can see me, we'll be okay. So you guys get away from me, you get your energy away, and I can just enjoy the view. That helped a lot. Budget is a big thing. And if someone's thinking about going into start looking at now. Look at how much do you actually need to run the household on. And is it going to be worth them being gone for that long? And can you maintain some independence? Yeah, you're going to have to be counselor for the kids. You're going to have to reprimand them, be the disciplinarian for it. But you set your boundaries, and you stick with those boundaries. Now, my kids helped with the chores around the house. They had a little bit of chores. They all helped fold wash rags when they were little. They came out of the
nothing wrong
dryer.
with having kids having chores.
No.
My kids have chores.
Yeah, and that helped to bring them into the work ethic that they needed for the jobs they're doing now. Yeah, some things. So they didn't fold the sheet right. Whoopee. It's gone on the bed next
Right,
week anyway.
it's a sheet. It's all good. Throw it in the
Yeah.
cat or in
Yeah.
the closet.
Yeah, they'll do better next time they fold it, or something. You need something mended. Bring it down. We'll get it mended. Make sure you bring your dirty clothes down. Well, this wasn't washed. Was it in the dirty clothes? No, and then that's why I didn't wash. So wait for the next one. Wait for the next time around.
Let me guess. That was Alan that said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than anything else, that was Alan.
Yeah. Yes, I'm calling you out, Alan. I know you're watching this.
But it's something, there's the clothes basket, we have upstairs. We got the laundry done. They each had their basket. Take it upstairs and put your clothes away. That way you had your basket for the next time. So it works.
So essentially, what I'm gathering is how can I word this? Do things for yourself that'll make you able to relax. Don't stress out too badly.
Yes.
Or try not to.
Get a hobby you like. The kids can leave you alone for 10 minutes while you do something. I sew.
Well, that'll work. You got anything to add, David?
No, I believe that's it for us.
All right. Well, we appreciate you riding with us on this trip, 1,000 Mile Coffee. And Claire, we appreciate you coming on here and helping us out with this.
Thanks, Mom.
So we'll see y'all next time.
And as always, keep your shiny side up.